better watch out if your enemies are rolled ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets caught real big, gets off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score, never getting bored. Lots of blood and gore. Always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of party. And if you start shit, you be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you let scars rip. You be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it.
Stephen Miller designed it. Donald Trump demanded it. Kristi Noem and Holman ordered you to do it. Illegal deportations, mass raids, rounding up people who are here legally, arresting citizens, family separations, snatching students off the street for tweeting, detention without hearings, shipping them to foreign prisons, deportations defying court orders. When government agents like you abuse your power, when you trample civil and constitutional rights, you can be held personally liable in civil court. You can lose everything, and Trump can't pardon you. That includes ICE, that includes CBP, contractors, DOJ, even the White House. Yep, every last Trump official pulling the strings. Even, well, especially the lawyers. If you think you're safe behind badges and titles, you're wrong. You do a hard, dangerous job. You're vital to our security. But what they have you doing now isn't law enforcement. It's just lawless, and you'll pay the price for following illegal orders.
Ouch. Yeah. One can only hope. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tuesday night episode of The Voice of Reason. We have a action-packed show lined up here for you, filled with all kinds of just dumb shit. I mean, what do we even say at this point? It's just all dumb. It's all dumb, and it's just hate and ignorance, and now more terrorists on movies. I mean,
we know that they are trying to blitzkrieg us, and it's not like it isn't their strategy to destroy our country, but they're doing it so blatantly and so brazenly. Yeah. That's part of their tactic. So, like, I know Jeremy and I spoke before the show about, like, we're both out of it today. I don't know why. Yeah. Today's just the news has me down. We could be watching the beginning of a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. That's not a good freaking thing.
No, shit's going down. Shit's going down. Israel's bombing other countries too.
Well, Israel said they said they are officially ready to just take over Gaza, and then we already know what's going to happen because that's what is it? Ivanka's husband went there to do, to work out a real estate deal. So, like, we are seeing aggression and fascism and just the worst of humanity, and America seems to be the epicenter of it because our people are getting more despicable in the streets. They are acting just more callous and evil towards each other. The racism, it's like we can't tell all the racist stories and all the bigoted stories because there's so many of them coming out. So many people that are emboldened by Trump are acting just like him and being disgusting, despicable monsters, the worst of humanity. Sorry, that's my rant for today.
No, it's good. I think that's one of the stories that we're going to talk about tonight that has me bothered the most is this white woman that verbally attacks 5-year-old autistic child. Yeah.
Wait,
we'll talk about that here.
Yes, they were not white. The kid.
No. But we'll get into that here in a couple of minutes. First, I want to talk about the fact that there are more problems within the FAA, namely at Newark Airport.
This is dumb.
Officials out of Newark have come out and said that under no circumstances don't fly to Newark. Just don't do it. Apparently, we have a video to show you. A lot of people are taking time off because of the current working conditions. Because I don't think people understand how stressful of a job air traffic controllers.
It is like in the top 5 most stressful professions in humanity.
Yeah, there's a movie that Billy Bob Thornton did back in the day with. Oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. About air traffic control, and they're just like, people lose it all the time and have to go on stress leave because they're basically dealing with tens of thousands and millions of people's lives
Yeah, it's
throughout the
insanity.
day and throughout the year. I can't imagine having to do that, yet alone, like, God forbid there's a close call and you have to try and avoid a midair collision or something like that.
Oh, I remember this. It's with him and John Cusack pushing
Yeah.
tin.
Pushing Tin, that's the name of the movie. I could
Holy
not
crap.
remember the name. Yeah, it's
Angelina
an older movie.
Jolie.
Yeah, that was
Oh my
before
God.
they got married. That was one of the first movies that I remember her from.
Yo, this is 1999, man.
God, I'm old.
Yo, okay.
Anyway.
All right, enough of that.
All right, well, let me play the video, the news report coming out of Newark. Not good. And this, of course, has all started since Trump took over and Doge got involved. And
everyone forgot all the planes that were crashing and running into each other on runways. That's how crazy our life is right now, that those stories aren't really filtering up to the most important news. But I'll tell you one thing, the shit didn't happen when the gay dude was in charge.
Yeah, Pete
the gay veteran was in charge.
Right? So, all right, let me play this clip real quick.
For the 8th straight day, massive disruptions at Newark Liberty Airport. There have been thousands of delays, some hitting nearly 5 hours. More than 800 flights have been canceled in the last week at the nation's 12th busiest airport. Mariana Dunlap and her friends are stuck in Newark for another day.
We've only been canceled by Spirit Airlines like 5 times.
Monday's bad weather complicated an air traffic control staffing nightmare that started last Monday. After a number of system outages, controllers' screens essentially went dark for up to 90 seconds, losing the ability to track aircraft at a key facility handling traffic in and out of Newark. It was a breaking point for about a half dozen controllers who requested trauma leave due to the working conditions, allowing them to essentially be off the job for up to 45 days.
They're frustrated. They're angry about having to use this old equipment.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says cracks are showing in the nation's aging air traffic control system.
The delays that we're now seeing in Newark is what's going to continue to happen around the country.
Yeah, okay.
So they're cutting funding for the FAA. They're firing people in the FAA. Planes are falling out of the sky. Planes are hitting each other on the runway. The air traffic controller of one of the major airports in the United States is telling you don't fly. So think about that. That's a guy that is like, think of how big of a risk that is to tell you, to tell all the customers, to tell all Americans, all people on the planet, do not fly into this airport, this major international airport. I remember I flew into there once back when I was privileged enough to fly around the world for work. And anytime you heard that you might fly into Newark, you're like, that's the worst. Because when you come to Long Island, if you fly into Newark, it's another like 2.5 hour drive back to home, depending on what time you land. So now there's even more reasons not to fly into Newark. And it's not traffic. It's because the air traffic controller is telling you it's too unsafe.
Could you imagine, though? Could you imagine being the guy there sitting at your desk watching a screen covered in blips that are all airplanes traveling at hundreds of miles an hour with hundreds of people in them for 90 seconds, bro? That's a long time.
You know what the Dems need to do?
Wow.
This is going to sound distasteful, but I'm sick of playing nice. We have to make people even more uncomfortable. The Democrats should just start telling ads, like doing ads that link the state of things now with the FAA to 9/11 and remind people that planes are fucking bombs. And if you're not capable of handling all the air traffic, you could have bombs just flopping down all over the country.
Basically, yeah. So that is the current state of our air travel in the United States. It's a shit show. You know, my mom goes on vacation to Georgia every year, and this is the first time I was ever worried about, is she going to be okay going on an airplane? We've been on it. I grew up traveling the world. Like, I've been on flight. I've been, as a kid, flights from Germany to the United States, 8-hour flights. And you know what I mean? So growing up, I was able to travel the world to do all this stuff. And never once did I think, oh my God, is she going to be okay? But now it's like, you don't know. You don't know. You just don't.
I will say one thing. Whenever I got a chance to fly on airlines that were not U.S. based, man, were they so much nicer. Holy shit.
Everything's so much nicer in other places.
Man, anyway.
We live in this illusion, under the illusion that we're just this great country, but
Well, it's because it is. We've been that stems from the anti-communist 50s propaganda bullshit. That was
it does.
America is the shining beacon of democracy and Christendom, and we're better than everyone because we are the pinnacle of human civilization, and we've been telling ourselves that in the Pledge of Allegiance ever since then.
I know, right? All right, so moving on. Next up, we want to talk about the AFD party. Germany has stepped up and labeled the AFD party the extremist party because they are the new Nazi party. They're openly admitted it. It's not like they're hiding it.
No, we talked about this before. We did some segments on this in previous episodes, and this news came up back when Elon was basically going there to be in their one of their little conventions or whatever. And of course, Elon, we know, is not famous for Tesla, but for flinging a Nazi salute on stage in support of Donald Trump. Yep. And this is a guy that wrote an op-ed for the AFD's newsletter. Okay, and months ago, we could pretend that there wasn't maybe a direct connection, even though we knew there was. But now we have Germany's official intelligence agencies going at it. But the best part about it is Marco Rubio, one of our homegrown idiots, has something to say about it. I'll get into that. So Germany's domestic intelligence labels right-wing AfD party as extremists. Germany's domestic intelligence agency has formally designated the far-right Alternative for Germany as extremist, a move likely to further isolate the group that has emerged as the country's largest opposition party. In other words, opposition into democracy. So I'm not going to pronounce it, but the BFV, or Federal Office of the Protection of the Constitution, I feel like America should have that. Germany's equivalent of the FBI released a 1,000-page report on Friday. In a statement on its website, they said it has reached its conclusion after a 3-year investigation. Following its statutory mandate, it was required to assess the party's actions against the central fundamental principles of the Constitution: human dignity, the principle of democracy, and the rule of law. In addition to the federal party's platform and statements, the review particularly examined the statements and other behavior of its representatives, as well as their connections to right-wing extremist groups. So in other words, we don't care what you say and release as your official party platform on your website. We're going to look at what the people who ascribe to your organization, who are members of your organization, we're going to listen to what they say and do, okay? Because that's how you know. So the BFV's decision marks a step up from its previous designation of the country's anti-immigrant, pro-Kremlin, and largest opposition party as a suspected threat to Germany's democratic order. According to the BFV, the AfD's xenophobic stances based on ethnic ancestry-based understanding, gee, that sounds like Donald Trump bullshit, of German identity are incompatible with the free democratic basic order, as indicated by the country's constitution. The spy agency added that the AfD aims to exclude certain population groups from equal participation in society. That sounds like Trump. To subject them to unconstitutional, unequal treatment, and thus to assign them a legally devalued status. Gee, we're deporting people because they're brown in this country. It also said this exclusionary understanding of the people is the starting point, and ideological basis for ongoing agitation against certain individuals or groups of people, through which they are defamed and despised indiscriminately, and irrational fears and rejection are stirred up. Again, they are saying, this is Germany's official FBI, that this major political party are the Nazis. And just so you know, Marco Rubio, like I said, had something to say about it. Germany's foreign, this is fascinating. Germany's foreign ministry has hit back at the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio following his criticism of Germany's decision to label the far-right alternative group party as confirmed right-wing extremist group. Just hold on a minute. Why do we even, what is the basis for telling Germany, who's pretty much an expert on fascism, that they should not label a party within their country as a fascist threat? Okay, Marco Rubio. So on Thursday, Rubio took to X, or Twitter, and wrote, quote, Germany just gave its spy agency new powers to surveil the opposition, just like the fuck Trump wants to do, by the way. That's not democracy. It's tyranny in disguise. What is look, I can't I can't believe they're literally calling to do that in America right now. So, okay. Oh my God. What is truly extreme is not the popular AFD, which took second in the recent elections, but rather the establishment's deadly open border immigration policies.
Oh,
This
for
is literal
fuck's
Nazi
sake.
propaganda. Rubio went on to say Germany should reverse course. In response, on Twitter, the German Foreign Ministry pushed back against the U.S. Secretary of State, saying, quote, "This is democracy. This decision is the result of a thorough and independent investigation to protect our Constitution and the rule of law. It is independent courts that will have the final say. We have learned from our history that right-wing extremism needs to be stopped." So, in other words, Germany, the foremost expert on fascism on the planet in human history, is telling this dink that we use the democratic process, okay, one that you adopted, one that you fought a war to break away from England to adopt. We followed that exact process that you are now destroying in your own country by ignoring due process and the rule of law. We are now telling other countries that they're not fascist enough.
Right. We actually have, I'll play that clip of Donald Trump we have right now. It is heartbreaking to me that our government, the United States government, land of the free and home of the brave and blah blah blah, is defending the new Nazi party.
We is
that we are the bad guys now. Yeah, I forgot what video it was. Oh yeah, when they ask him in a recent interview about due process, he says they get a process. A process. I swear to God, watch this video. This is crazy.
Ask the lawyers about that. All I can say is this. If you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law is the law, sir. The law is the law, and yours.
The law doesn't say anything about trials.
No, not trials. Hearings. I said
These
hearings.
people came in. They're not
What the
citizens.
fuck?
They
Yeah,
came in illegally. They came into a
The
country.
law
illegally.
doesn't
We
say
have to get
anything
them out.
about
There's a legal process for
trials.
this.
I can't be sure, and we follow the legal process. I can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out.
They
Fuck
get
that guy.
a process.
Fuck this fascist piece of crap.
I'm telling you, bro. That I found that video clip today after going back through that interview, and not due process, but a process, which is whatever the process Donald Trump wants it to be.
The process is abduction, human trafficking, and the willful knowledge of torture and possible murder in another country. That's what the fucking process is right now.
Yeah.
Like, look, Jeremy, you said earlier, we're the bad guys now. We've been the bad guys for a long time. We have military bases everywhere. We just start wars wherever the fuck we want. We topple governments. We've been doing it for decades, okay?
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a century or more. But we now are not pretending we're not the bad guy. They're using the language that we're trying to do everything great to say, protect people, protect the kids, protect this, protect the dogs and the cats. But what we actually are is letting everyone know we are the new fascist state, and we are here to tell the world how to fucking run their thing, and we are going to do whatever despicable thing we can to our people. And I say we because this is what we now are. America is this, and we have to find a way to stand up and stop this, because I got to tell you, the Supreme Court just upheld the ban on the transgender ban in the military, so we can't rely on the SCOTUS to do everything great for us anymore. So there comes a point where, action has to be louder than words. And I don't know where we're going to wait and where we're going to be when that finally happens. But it's getting pretty ridiculous.
It is. And
Sorry, I'm like so angry today.
No. I am too. Because, they feel like some, I think, Republican maybe are starting to feel the heat from their constituents, because, their own voters are giving them heat that they're not accustomed to. And I don't know what Donald Trump and his administration thought was going to happen when they decided to try and bully. Me and James talked about it yesterday. They thought they were going to bully their way through all this, but they're finding out that the world really doesn't need us. to participate.
The world only trades with us because we have military everywhere, and our
Right.
military contracts with other countries support their gross domestic fucking product.
Yeah. We are consumers. That's what they need from us. We consume things. We buy things. That is what we do. All right, so let's move on to the next story. I don't want to talk about Trump yet too much because we have a lot of that coming
All
up
right.
here in the second half of the show to be even more angry about. But
Are you
this
going to
story
this
has
wonderful
me
lady?
fucking pissed, bro.
This is just a
Yes.
sweet mother, a misunderstood mother, and I think
Right.
we have to give her a fair shot. We should all judge her for her actions.
Now this story is bad twofold. I think it just in one part of the story just makes it so much worse than the her calling a kid, an autistic black child, 5 years old, the N word for taking a toy
Proudly.
from her, right?
It is
And then
important.
repeated a few times. Now, if you want to see the unedited one, you could go on Twitter because that's where you find shit like that. Go on Twitter, but we would never, absolutely not, have that word played on our show. So I found the edited version on TikTok.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk
That's
about
that's
that.
actually, yeah, because that's
where
that's
we're
the
headed.
part that makes me even more furious about the story.
I'm not surprised about a shitty racist Karen.
No.
I'm not even surprised that this woman exemplifies the pride of the white pride is
Yeah.
despicable hate is what that pride is, and you see it
Yeah.
in this woman's face.
So let me play this video. And I hate that people like this even exist. I really do. The world would be better without them. The world would be completely such a utopia without people like this. Truly. And she's probably a Christian too, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
You call him the child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him. Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say. Nobody digging to your. That little kid, you call him the little child? Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know that's a hate speech.
If that's
and you can be
what
He's gonna act like that's
get this shit off of here.
Okay, we'll see
Look,
about that with the
okay.
I know, sorry.
I mean,
Yeah,
let's
it's so
think
bad.
about this. Let's break down racist logic. So in her mind, the only people that ever steal anything are black people, because she said if he's going to act like a whatever, and the implication, she confirmed that the reason she's going on this tirade is because another child stole a toy from her child. Well, I assume that they're in a little baby kitty playground, and you could tell because there's not too much big jungle gym shit, so it's probably meant for little kids, like the one that unfortunately is going to grow up to be a piece of garbage because his mother is a piece of garbage.
Obviously, yeah.
So what we're seeing here is she believes that the only people that steal are black people. Because a white kid did it, she wouldn't call a white kid that, right?
Right.
So that's called racism. See how that works?
That's horrible. How could you even talk like that to a kid, though? I mean, to another human being, even anybody, but to a 5-year-old, for fuck's sake, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
All right, the kid, maybe she has no idea the kid's autistic. That honestly doesn't have much to do with it in my mind. The fact is that she could identify that kid as black as far as she knew, and decided that the best thing to do was not say, hey, parent, what's going on? Hey, someone, can we figure this out? Was to just start ranting and raving racial slurs at a child.
Right.
That was her solution. This is someone who had a kid because, adults, that's what it means. You have kids and you're obviously adult enough to be able to take care of these children and raise them properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. When you're ranting N-words at little kids on playgrounds. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, hey, kid, how hard is that? But no, you had to make it about race and you had to be an ignorant piece of shit. And I hope the internet just completely crucifies for it. I wish people would get punished for this kind of behavior, but that's the part of the story that pisses me off even more.
So, not punished.
Rewarded.
Right?
Massively rewarded.
A lot of people have heard about this. We're going to go into the numbers as of today. I put these together. So, Fundraiser allegedly for a woman who used racial slur against child draws racist comments of support. Okay, here we go. Comments were removed from the fundraiser, which has raised more than $675,000, quote, due to unacceptable volume of racist and derogatory remarks, according to a co-founder of the Christian Go crowdfunding platform. Now, it's important. I thought this was a GoFundMe, and I think I fell into a trap of everything that's a crowdsourced kind of thing.
We call GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that was just what I had read or what I interpreted, whatever. It turns out this is specifically a Christian crowdsourcing website. I'm not knocking them for being a Christian-based thing. I'm not. I'm actually applauding them because so many of the lovely Christians on their site that want to donate to good Christian causes are racist pieces of shit that the owners and the operators of this crowdfunding thing had to shut it down. You ready? Because I'm doing it. I'm going to show you. Sorry, I'm a dick. Hold on. Okay. An online fundraiser purported to be for a woman in Minnesota who admitted in a viral video to calling a child the N-word at a public park has garnered more than $675K in donations, many of which came with comments espousing white supremacist views. Many of the racist comments were posted by anonymous users, of course, because they have no fucking balls, or those using racist handles, and some even seem to refer to Nazi symbolism. Among those donating money were, quote, white unity will unite. That's just clever language right there, you morons. Black excellence fatigue, Aunt Jemima, white and strong, and white rise. Why wouldn't you just capitalize the R too? Whatever. The comments and the commenting function were later removed. Oh, it gets worse. I'm going to read them to you. These were some of the quotes. These young generations of whites are sick of the bullying, intimidation, and being made to shut up about race issues, White Texas Mommy wrote on the fundraising page while contributing $50. That's like a dozen eggs. NBC News captured a comment in a screenshot before it was removed. Here's another one, and this one's my favorite. They call us racist because we are white. No, you're what you're going to say after this. Okay. Nothing will ever make them happy. They've been given trillions of dollars. That's not a thing. They've been allowed into our schools, and neighborhoods. They've been allowed to integrate, forced upon us at every turn, and they still aren't happy. Donor Hey Will Wildrich, whatever the fuck, wrote on another since removed post before contributing $88. Now, $88. That's a Nazi symbol. You know how? It's not just because Pete Hegseth wears it proudly because he's a racist piece of shit. 88 is a white supremacist numerical code for Heil Hitler. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, so 88 is 8H equals Heil Hitler. One of the most common white supremacist symbols. 88 is used throughout the entire white supremacist movement, not just neo-Nazis. You're not going to donate $88. That's not a number you're going to I just happened upon it. I looked in my checking account, and the math that I did, if I budget safely and conservatively, I could donate $88.
And the reason she wants to move now, apparently, is because she feels unsafe.
Oh no!
Open all the backlash, right? All the backlash from
and guess what?
Her actions. Take some fucking responsibility, man.
If anything happens to that woman, or something, or there's anything, if the minute Trump realizes he can make another commercial with someone, you watch before she's going to be at the State of the Union. You mark my words.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Or they'll make an act, name a bill after her, some crazy shit.
The pride in the racism. This isn't something that these people are learning. Think about it. That woman didn't just since Trump was elected discover the N-word. Okay. No. That woman has deep-seated racist opinions, beliefs, and ideology that was bred into her. Either through her upbringing and her parents or through some other later experiences in life. But she was taught hate and racism, and that's all that is. You put a bunch of different colored kids in a room and you leave their parents out, they're all going to share pretty equally. It's fascinating until you include belief systems, until you include the desire to remain ignorant versus educated. That's what keeps people racist. That's what perpetuates it. And this woman is a piece of garbage, and I feel sorry for that kid that she has, because what kind of mother could she possibly be if that's how she's going around conducting herself?
Right. Treating another child that way is just appalling behavior. But yeah, yeah, hopefully. I don't even know what to say to this story. I was so upset by it. Like, this is the stuff that drains me on a weekly basis.
Yes. And we're
To
white
the
people.
point where,
Imagine every person that has experienced that, seeing it more and more.
yeah, and having a report on it. We'd like to report on nice
Sheldon,
things and
Sheldon, it
amazing.
is a privilege and an honor to be thanked for that. Like, legitimately. It's
It
called
is
doing
nice
the bare
to be
minimum, by
thanked
the
for
way.
that.
We're not like Jeremy and I don't go home and study. We're not like,
It's not hard.
how
Just
do
don't
we
be
not be a
shitty
racist
people.
piece of shit?
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
don't
look,
be bad people.
is it nurture versus nature? Look, it's sociology. That's the study of that type of stuff. But I'll tell you right now, racism was not a part of my upbringing.
Mine
Okay.
either.
I've seen it throughout my life from family members, from friends' families, growing up in a predominantly, almost exclusively white family and neighborhood. Okay, I saw racism and it never took. Maybe that's because it wasn't taught to me directly. Maybe because I didn't get into a fight with a black kid once and people around me didn't worm their bullshit into my head. I don't know. Maybe I'm lucky not to be racist, but I like to think it's just not that hard.
Yeah, I attribute the way I am just because I grew up in the military, which is one of the biggest melting pots on the planet. United States military. So I was
Something I
introduced.
had to
Plus,
learn.
I was able to travel the world and see different cultures and the way, not everything is as small as a lot of people think it is. And there's a whole big
It's
world
funny.
out there that you get to
Like,
experience if you actually just
let's
go out there and do it.
one thing that we've talked about before, I mentioned this to you when we finally got into DC, and I looked around and went, holy shit, this place feels like home because it looks as diverse a city as New York, because I grew up in going to the city, right? And I treasure that. But it's funny because that's not the only thing that kept me from being racist. You look at yourself, you look at people like Tennessee Brando, who basically grew up in one giant KKK town. I'm kidding, Brando. I'm sorry, I don't want to insult anyone, but you know what I mean. I mean, he'll tell you himself. And people all over the, I'm sure you've experienced people being intensely racist your whole life. I have too.
Yeah.
Big town, small town. It doesn't always. I wish we knew what the cause was 100% of the time, so we could just like turn that switch off. But
I don't know. Yeah, let's move on because the story is just infuriating. And it should make you angry. It should make you angry.
Pick a Trump one because it just gets dumber.
It does. Yeah, let's talk about some dumb shit. Now that we've gotten all the angry stuff out of the way. Donald Trump's had some doozies of ideas this week. We've covered quite a few of them. But now he wants to, the military parade on his birthday. He's confirmed that. Of course, he says it's for Flag Day, like he gives a shit about the flag or what it represents. I wish he would just use the old World War II flag. At least it would be more appropriate so we can have our flag back because we want it back. We're tired of it representing hate and stupidity and all that stuff. We'd like it to re-represent freedom and unity and, patriotism, not their distorted version of patriotism. They don't even know what patriotism means. Let's be honest. But yeah, so before
they know what nationalism means, but they don't know what patriotism means.
Right. So here is him confirming that they're going to be he wants a military parade, which hopefully somebody talks him out of this, but he seems pretty dead set on having
$90 million on top of almost $100 million already spent golfing in 100 days. He's going to spend $200 million of your money so he could jerk himself off. I apologize. That was grotesque.
I mean, this is the guy that added $8 trillion to the national deficit in 4 years. So, I don't know why we're surprised by this. I think it's just the blatant. They're just using the money for themselves, and it's so obvious now. I mean, they built an executive club, a billionaires club, for people that donate to the Trump administration, so they can gain access. It's $500,000 just to get in, to become a member. But then you get access to the Trump administration and his kids and all the family members that like taking bribes or contributions, I guess we call them these days. I don't know what you want to call them, but here's him talking about the military parade. Can't wait for this one.
The president also told me that next month he's planning a military parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army that also falls on his 79th birthday.
We're going to have a big, beautiful parade.
A military parade?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We're going to celebrate our military. We have the greatest military in the world.
Tag? Do you
People, peanuts compared to the value of doing it. We have the greatest missiles
value?
in the
What the
world.
fuck
We
does
have
that
the
even mean?
greatest submarines in the world. We have the greatest army tanks in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. And we're going to celebrate it.
As support.
We're gonna start.
I have a question.
I just realized what he said.
I have a question, and I think you have the same question.
Fucking subs, bro. How are we gonna get subs?
Are they
down
gonna
the
put
road?
the subs on trailers and like have water effects?
that must be it. Subs. Yeah, we're gonna have subs
I did
going
not
down the
catch
street.
that the first time you played that
I
pre-show.
didn't either.
Holy crap!
That's hilarious. Yeah, we have subs. That's
So-
why he wants
so
to
I
do it.
just
He
want
wants
you to
celebrate
know
our military like he cares.
Not that any reporter, even asking a decent question, ever pushes back on him, just like this one didn't. But when she goes, "What's the price tag?" and he looks at her like, how could you answer that? How could you ask me that question? And he goes, "Peanuts compared to the value." What the hell does that mean? So $90 million is peanuts compared to some perceived value?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like a 4 mile or 6 mile or some kind of like, it's like almost $100 million to take a bunch of army vehicles and army personnel and march them like a 4 mile stretch of road. What value does that provide to the American people? Nobody yet. That's a good comment. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, so it gets dumber though, because now Donald Trump also wants to rename Veterans Day, which after a day is no longer an option. They took it off the table after the obvious backlash. Renaming Veterans Day. So if you just want to know what he thinks of veterans, what he thinks of people that served in the military, that volunteer to go.
Look,
oh my God.
There have been a lot of people. Oh man, I can't remember some of their names and their accounts right now, but I've been watching a lot more veteran stuff lately since we've done since we've been working with a lot of veterans lately.
Right.
They have much better opinions on this than I ever will, about the fact that all these other days for the military that no one ever talks about already exist, stuff like that. And even if you wanted to make a holiday to celebrate World War I, whatever. Why wouldn't you just make another holiday? Why would you erase Veterans Day? Because I'll tell you why. It's psychological here. I am not a psychologist, but I think I figured one out. He doesn't respect veterans. He doesn't respect people who died for their country. He doesn't respect people who survived for fighting for their country. He doesn't respect service members because he doesn't respect workers. What he respects is the result of other people's hard work. So when he says he respects victory, because that is something that he could easily buy and attach himself to and parade around, but he doesn't respect the people that die and fight for it. And that's what's fucking sickening about it. And it's not just our opinion. So Trump plans to change Veterans Day into Victory Day for World War I. Great. President Trump, in a social media post Thursday, announced plans to rename it Victory Day for World War I and establish May 8th as Victory Day for World War II. We won both wars. Nobody was close to us in terms of strength, bravery, or military brilliance. But we never celebrate anything. Trump wrote in a late-night statement while he was shitting out Taco Bell. That's because we don't have leaders anymore. You're leading the country, you dick, that know how to do so. We are going to start celebrating our victories again. So again, celebrating our victories, which he considers more important than the sacrifice of those who brought those victories. So keep in mind, Friday, May 2nd, 2025. 1 day later. Day after President Donald Trump announced he was renaming November 11th, the date that the Veterans Day is observed as Victory Day for World War I, the White House is now saying it will be an additional proclamation and not a full replacement. We are not renaming Veterans Day, White House Press Secretary Idiot Barbie said to ABC News. It will just be an additional proclamation that goes out on that day. So in other words, we're just going to say a thing. But here's the funny part. They can't rename Veterans Day. I mean, they could if the Republicans decided to help him do it because national holidays are made by Congress. So again, Donald Trump doesn't understand how government works, and he doesn't care because he's a dictator, and they're letting him get away with it. But to some extent, basically, a lot of Republicans said, you're pissing off too many people. You're going to have to stop this one. And he got pissed. He shit his pants, threw some ketchup, and he went upstairs for the night. Okay? Yeah. That's what happened. So
go ahead.
What's really important is to remember what he thinks about veterans. I want to stress that, okay? This was from 2018. Okay, this was what it was reported as. President Donald Trump canceled a planned visit to a cemetery for Americans killed in World War I, the very holiday he wants to abolish Veterans Day for, the White House said, citing bad weather that grounded his helicopter. Benton Rhodes, who was Deputy National Security Advisor for President Obama, accused Trump of, quote, blowing off honoring American servicemen who died for us, and said the White House should have had a fallback option. This is the same thing that did a photo op, okay, on the grave of a fallen soldier in where? Arlington National Cemetery. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about his own family. He doesn't care about anything but what keeps his ass going and makes him feel like he's king of the world. And right now, I know he's not king of the world, but he's definitely king of the United States. And
the clown king.
This is what we got, a guy who pisses on veterans.
This is what we have to deal with. Yeah. And just so we're clear, also Trump's birthday, Flag Day, is also Hitler's birthday. Yeah. So there's that. And we know how he likes to idolize that guy. So the whole military parade thing kind of falls in line. I think he wants one just to emulate his idol, old Adolf. But yeah, it's just it's a giant dumpster fire is what this is. So let's move on to his newest, most genius idea ever, because he has all kinds of them. This might be even dumber than abolishing paper straws. He wants to reopen Alcatraz.
Look,
y'all.
I know that not everyone knows every little detail about the country or the history or what's going on, but there are certain things. Most people know what Alcatraz is, know some version of the stories about it, and at the very least, know that you can go look at it and visit it. Okay? Let's leave it at that while we watch the video.
It actually, but this is Donald Trump talking about.
Keep that in mind.
His fantastic idea. This is so stupid.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz.
How
did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But
they're closing Sing Sing.
It's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It
has been for a long time.
Most violent criminals in the world.
60 years.
And nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up. And it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz.
That's not a thing.
It just represented something
it is
strong
in one
having
of the
to do
movies.
with law and order. We need law and order in this country.
The finding the clothes bit up by sharks and shit. It's from a movie. It's not. I'm being serious. It's from a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, but it's from a goddamn movie. This son of a bitch thinks that somebody almost escaped. What the fuck? But no, it's dilapidated. It's covered in like lead paint and asbestos. The plumbing is complete shit. The wiring is decades.
It doesn't have an external power source. It is not linked to the mainland.
No, it's not an island. I mean,
they had a hearing today with like the Bureau of Prisons or whatever in the Senate or Congress, whatever the hell, and they were like, so who thinks this is a good idea? And like no one spoke up. Everyone was like, no. Here's the thing. It's not like, I mean, Donald Trump doesn't actually understand anything. So let's just put that aside for a moment. Let's talk like if some actual human suggested this, okay? it's not a modern prison. It can't hold cells. It's not functional. It at most held like 300 prisoners. Okay,
I know, right? Well,
it doesn't have any functioning like modern anything. So it's not like even like people that work there would be like, this is a great place to work. Okay, just hang with me. He orders the reopening of Alcatraz to house most ruthless and violent offenders. Okay, great. So the big picture, Alcatraz was closed as a prison in 1963 because it was expensive to run then. And the U.S. government, quote, found that it was more cost-effective to build a new institution than to keep it open per a Federal Bureau of Prisons post. And here's the thing people don't understand. It was closed in 63, right? Keep that in mind. We're going to get to why that's important. Here's a picture of Alcatraz Island. Like, okay, like most high schools, that's the size of that and their property. Like, you're not fitting. Right. Like, what are you doing? Look at it. Also, I saw an idiot, I don't know who it was, on some news show talking about how we need to put the criminals in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's in San Francisco Bay. Okay. That was also this a sidebar for a second. Someone from the Trump administration today was trying to argue that something about the Gulf of Mexico or America, how Mexico has been dumping things in the Gulf of Mexico for years in San Diego. California doesn't touch the Gulf of Mexico. Anyway, back to Alcatraz. Here's a few pictures of Alcatraz as it stands today. Okay, right now. It's a ready-made movie set, okay? I think Donald Trump thinks The Green Mile is a comedy. That's how much of a sicko he is. But remember when I said it closed in 1963? If you look up on the right there, capacity 312. Opened in 1934, okay? The place was open for 30 years, and it was shut down because it was a piece of shit, out-of-date garbage hellhole then. United States Penitentiary, Alcatraz Island, also known simply as Alcatraz, or The Rock, as some people may remember that movie, was a maximum security federal prison on Alcatraz Island, 1.25 miles away off the coast of San Francisco, so not in the middle of the ocean. The site of a fort since the 1850s, the main prison building was built in 1910 to 12 as an army prison. It was built as a barracks for assholes and adopted as a prison, and then they were like, we can't keep shipping people and supplies and workers in and out there on boats every day. It's too expensive to run. It costs like 5 times more to run it than it actually. It was stupid. And I know people would say, well, I don't care about the prisoners, lock them in the hole. And I know those people don't care about anything to the Constitution, about fair treatment. Of course. I get it. Okay, it's a hard argument to have with murderers, rapists, child molesters, that they deserve any good treatment. But let's go cost effective. It's not. It's simple. It's not. And it's
even
stupid.
Just to get it up to code and to modernize it to hold actual people.
You can't house humans there. And again, I know people will say they're not humans, but okay, workers shouldn't be working there. Also, it's a museum. It's part of our history.
Yeah.
That's another way he could erase our history, trying to reuse it and pretend that it's, this is great. This is awesome.
Right. It's actually also it is profitable as a museum, though, because people go,
I would love to go there. If I ever go to San Francisco, I want to see Alcatraz and the Haight-Ashbury.
Yeah.
I want to see where the hippies hung out.
All right. So on to Donald Trump's next great idea is movie tariffs. He's going to put tariffs on movies that are made outside the United States. Apparently, he thinks they're a security concern. Where could he possibly gotten this idea from? Well, we think it's from his buddy John Voight. We have a video of John Voight looking like a talking prune. It's still alive.
So look, I thought. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just want to give you an example of the type of people Donald Trump trusts. Okay, first I want to play you. This is a story Rachel Maddow did on MSNBC, and this has to do with Donald Trump's tariff expert, the guy that he gets all of his advice regarding tariffs, Peter Navarro, who has written several books where he quotes a tariff expert by the name of Ron Vera. Now, we've mentioned this before. I think we talked about it yesterday, but let me go ahead and play this clip because this is very important because it makes this entire tariff thing of Donald Trump seem just exponentially more insane. This is who he's listening to. And remind everybody that Peter Navarro just got out of prison, too. Yeah. Go to prison, just work for Donald Trump. That's how it works now.
In all of his books, Peter Navarro has cited an economics expert to justify his views. And the economics expert he cites is somebody named Ron Vera, V-A-R-A, Ron Vera. When Trump won the presidency and entered the White House, this Ron Vera started circulating a memo around Washington in support of Trump using tariffs in trade policy. According to the New York Times, the memo had been, quote, sent from an email address purportedly belonging to Ron Vera. At one point, Ron Vera wrote in the memo that Trump could, quote, ride the tariffs to victory. Problem is, Ron Vera doesn't exist. He never has. The economics expert that Peter Navarro has long cited to explain why he's so gung-ho on tariffs, this person, Ron Vera, is a made-up person. He is a fictional person. Peter Navarro invented Ron Vera as his expert source so he could quote this expert source over and over and over again in his crackpot books. Who is Ron Vera? Ron Vera is an anagram of Navarro, which is his last name.
That's the best part. That's the best part.
So did this guy go, holy shit, they'll never figure this out. This is brilliant.
I think you can't even make up a name that doesn't involve all the letters of your last name. Just to make
yes, Pendragon.
painfully obvious. Yeah, so Donald Trump's tariff expert has been quoting a fake tariff expert. How do you make this? You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. How do we live like? How is this our reality? I don't.
Maybe someone tried to explain what a pen name is to him, and he got confused. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know anymore. That's what I'm just gonna say. I don't know. But yeah. So here's his buddy John Voight explaining whatever this is.
So, but I'm going to put a little context here, okay? Because the whole thing about getting rid of or putting tariffs on movies that are filmed outside of the U.S. Okay, let's forget the fact that sometimes you need certain geographical features or locations. Yeah, okay, like you're not going to say, if I want to film a story at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, just don't make that story or use CGI instead. Like that, you're dumb. That's stupid. So like, you have to think to yourself, that's one of the dumbest things anyone's ever come up with, but especially Trump. Okay, and I'm not saying he's a genius in any sense of in any sense of the way. I'm not saying he's even capable of tying his shoes, but I believe someone is probably working, probably Project 2025 related or some other Christian nationalist scumbags. Maybe Stephen Miller, who looks more like a Nazi than any Nazi ever did. I think we now know what they're doing because Donald Trump just today basically named John Voight his ambassador to Hollywood. And John Voight put out this video because I think we now know the whole point is like the Nazis did. They made all of their film productions propaganda to show everyone how great America was and how bad everyone else was. So we're talking about Nazism and North Korean propaganda coming out of Hollywood is what they're trying to do.
That's there's others that are on board with this shit. Like
of course,
Mel Gibson, Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg's a piece of shit. I didn't know that. Kirk Cameron's a scumbag. Has been for a long time.
Yeah,
Mark Wahlberg is a big dumpy piece of crap.
Yeah, no, that was disappointing. So many of I was fan of so many of these.
It happens. Like there's other ones recently. I don't remember who it was. Whatever.
Just to find out they're all giant pieces of shit.
Hey, my favorite movie's Braveheart. I have to live with that. And Mel Gibson's a piece of crap. It's still my favorite movie.
I know he is a piece of garbage. So, all right, here's John Voight explaining this.
After meeting with many of the entertainment leaders, I have brought forward recommendations.
Nobody's meeting with you.
Also, what's an entertainment leader?
That can help the industry.
I don't know.
Some provisions that could be extended and others that could be revived.
This guy doesn't even know what he's talking
or
about.
Instituted. This would help the movie and television production
the weekends at Birmingham
that are so important to the American family experience. Our president loves this nation and all the hardworking people in it. He's a great businessman, a leader.
Is he?
and a caring person that will always do the right thing for this country.
Oh my God! Take your
look, you can
tongue out
see
of
it
his
dripping
ass.
down the corner of his mouth.
I'm proud to call the 47th President of the United States of America.
That's right, Dennis.
My friend.
Blah.
And as I've said before, he is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, fuck you! Oh my God! Fucking barf in a bag.
I want to do an experiment. You know how, like, when you used to put records backwards, it would say shit? If you play that backwards, I bet it sounds just like someone gargling.
It probably does on some balls.
Like, look, what there. So that was bullshit. That didn't mean anything. And I'll tell you right now, they're not going to tell you what the point is, but I'll tell you how nonsensical their argument is. He talks about tax incentives in this. The movie industry the Hollywood is the most like profitable industry besides like guns and pharmaceuticals, like on the planet. Okay. Canada, we is one of the major places we film stuff too, mostly TV shows, fine. But like, as far as Hollywood goes, the movie industry, Hollywood makes so much money exporting movies to China and other countries. When the rest of the planet stopped buying Hollywood's movies, there won't be any movies anymore. Because remember how no one goes to the theater anymore in this country? It's not even just that. Those millions of dollars and billions they make are doubled and tripled when it goes outside the country. They're not made. Don't forget, Hollywood doesn't make movies for us in this country. It makes movies for China because they make 10 times what they make here on every release. Okay. So the idea that Hollywood needs tax incentives to save itself, there's nothing wrong with Hollywood. Nothing.
No. And it's not like the actors that get paid all this money give a shit about the people that are running like the boom mics and shit.
Yeah, like
because they just went on strike because they weren't getting paid fairly. Like, it's not like they actually give a shit about all the people involved in the process of making a movie in America. They don't. It's all performative bullshit. It's a way for them to control the narrative. And I think there was a comment up there. They want to control what we see and hear down to the very movies that we watch.
Go watch some North Korean propaganda movies. Trust me, on your lunch hour tomorrow, if tomorrow's your day off, after work, if you want to have a good laugh, whatever your time frame is, go look up on YouTube North Korea propaganda movies. That's a rabbit hole I went down one day. And let me tell you, it is not worth it. And it is creepy.
Yeah. So last video I'm going to show before we get out of here. Also want to just remind everybody, if you could, go to our link tree in the description of the video. In the link tree is all our social media information. It also has our GoFundMe information as well. We are desperately at this point trying to raise some funding for this show, not just to keep it going, but to move forward. We have a bunch of ideas that we're not able to implement, that we're just not able to do.
We need more time.
We need more time.
Also, we just want to go out in the field more, and we really want to go to more protests and show people what's going on. So when we're asking for help, it's not so that we could skip work one day or go on a vacation. It's so we could buy some better equipment to have a better broadcast than the previous time, a better live stream than the previous time, to be able to help us go to these protests. We hate talking about it. We have to do ourselves a disservice not talking about it, so we're talking.
Yeah, I hate bringing up stuff like that. I don't even like asking for donations.
I don't.
We don't have any other way, honestly, to fund.
We're taking it down right now. There it is. We took it off.
I think that the pressure of the countries are not calling Donald Trump. Like, they said they're going to make 90 deals in 90 days. I think Howard Lutnick. Somebody said that earlier, and I can't get it out of my head.
That's a
I
good
think
one.
Midas Touch said Howard Nutlick earlier. Now I can't get it out of my head. Howard Lutnick.
Nope, Nutlick.
Nutlick is better. All right, Howard Nutlick said that they were going to do 90 deals in 90 days, and of course the deals are coming anytime now. But I think the fact that nobody is calling, nobody, especially not China. China's like, eat a bag of dicks.
They're getting their oil from Canada now. Fuck off.
Bro, China is making out like a baby. They didn't even have to do anything. That's the crazy part. America just imploded itself and it's standing in the world. And China just swooped in like, we got this.
I'll tell you what China China won't like nuclear war at their western gates.
Yeah, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. We're going to have to keep a close eye on that because that shit is insane what's going on, not only in Israel and Gaza, Pakistan and India.
People don't realize how much those two countries viscerally hate each other after generations of racial and cultural like hatred. It's not a good thing over there.
I forgot to ask you, did you hear about apparently there's a big celebration in Russia every year to celebrate the end of World War II or the victory in World War II.
Oh, okay.
They invited a bunch of world leaders to participate and celebrate in Russia, and Donald Trump was one of them. However, Zelensky has come out and said, look, if something happens, y'all, don't look at us. I can't guarantee your safety, so if something happens on that day, don't say we didn't try and tell you. And now everybody...
Yo, how about this?
We're busy that day.
All I'm going to say about that is I think the entire country, every grassroots organization, every content creator, everyone should start a campaign to pool a GoFundMe to help Ukraine.
That would be nice.
That's it. That's where I'm going to end that comment.
All right, so let me show you why I think the cracks are starting to show. Donald Trump's starting to panic. Not only is he posting like a raging lunatic on social media, his interviews have become increasingly erratic. Like we just showed you, the Alcatraz one is batshit insane. But here he is talking about tariffs and the deals that he's been trying to make. And he's like, I set the deals, not them. I set the deals. It's just the weirdest reaction.
Because he's getting, as the dementia sets in, his base personality is more and more exaggerated, and it gets more and more distilled, and it's gross and despicable.
I don't think I think the stress of it all is finally eating his brain.
Good, I
finally.
hope so.
I mean, it has been eating it for years, but I think it's finally.
I thought he caught the brainworm from RFK Jr., but you know
that could be a possibility. And they needed more space. It ran out of food, so they had to put it in Donald Trump's head. All right, let me play this video. I'm gonna shut up now.
Nobody understands. We're negotiating with many countries. But at the end of this, I'll set my own deals because I set the deal. They don't set the deal. I set the deal. They've been ripping us off for years. I set the deal. Every country, almost without fail, friend and foe, has been ripping us off for years. So we're meeting with almost all of them, including China. And at the end, I'm setting the deal.
Wrong.
I keep saying, when are you going to... This is not like a big deal that's going to be signed. In some cases, we'll sign. We don't have to have signed. I'm going to be setting the deal. I'll be setting a tariff. You keep asking the same question. When will you agree? It's up to me. It's not up to them. It's up to me now. They don't have to deal with us, which is okay because we lost, under Biden, we're losing $5 billion a day. Think of it. $5 billion a day. Now we're not dealing with China at all because the tariff's so high that they basically can't deal.
What the hell is he saying? Also, one of his trade nitwits was testifying in Congress today and said under oath there are no and have been no negotiations with China.
Right, none. And China sat back there laughing. They're like, we're not calling. No. From what I can tell, though, that the Trump administration has kind of been wanting China to call, but China's not going to call. Why would they?
The idea that he makes the deals.
Position.
You know what's really scary is he's defaulting to his fucking apprentice persona, because him saying you don't make the deals, that's literally not the job of the fucking president. Like that
right.
The idea that a president controls every aspect of our country, if you think that, then you want a king. It's not that complicated. If you want a functioning democracy with checks and balances so one asshole can't control everything, okay, fine. But like what people don't understand is this man is not going to do anything for them. He's going to continue to do things for himself, to protect his own ass, to enrich himself, okay, with his little nightclub in the White House, with his little Gaza real estate deal, okay. That's what's happening with the new grifts, the sneakers, whatever, his new NFTs, his Trump coin. He's grifting the shit out of the White House. He's covered it in gaudy gold bullshit while telling you to buy less toys for your kid this Christmas, okay?
Right.
That's what he's doing. He's not making deals. He's not doing any of that. He's not doing anything except getting shuttled around from gala to gala to golf course to make a fool out of himself. When he met the new Prime Minister of Canada, okay, Trump thought he was tough shit. The Prime Minister of Canada reminded him in the Oval Office on camera, Canada's not for sale, never will be. Go pound salt.
Yeah, Donald Trump exhibited his reasoning, the reason he's an adjudicated rapist, he just doesn't understand the word no.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Because he's been, so how about this? When I say he's never been told no, people have said no to him, but no one's ever held the no up.
Right.
Okay. No one's ever required him to not get what he wants.
No. So, all right, that's all we have for today. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Put the word out. Also, this Saturday, I'm going to be attending another local 5051 meeting where I'm getting involved helping the local activist community and trying to organize events with them here at home. And we also have some other stuff lined up as far as special guests. Next week on Tuesday, we're not going to do a show ourselves. We will be on another podcast with the Sons of Liberty here on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. Should be a good time. Other than that, have a good rest of your night. And like always, we will talk to you soon.